A fantastic top of the morning this beautiful Wednesday. How are you doing? Today is the 9th of July 2025. I hope you have a well-rested night. Welcome to another brand new day where we'll bring you The Press, a program that comes your way every weekday from 9 to 10:30, where we discuss weather updates and, of course, top headlines making the waves both locally and globally. I am Princess Ekezie Okoli. Welcome to the show. Well, without wasting much time, we're going to delve into what the weather has for us. It seems to be raining all around the country. I don't know if you've noticed. If you have family members in other parts of the country, you hear that it's raining every day, and with that comes a fear of flood as well. But with that said, let's see what the weather update is saying today, so that you know how to go out today as you go about your daily duties. We're going to start with the city of Ondo. Yes, I'm going to start there. Ondo is in the southwest. Ondo is boasting of 22 degrees Celsius. There's a bit of drizzle with a high of 26 degrees and a low of 21 degrees Celsius. While rainy conditions will continue all day, wind gusts are up to 15 kilometers per hour. That's in the city of Ondo State. Let's go to another state. I'm going to go all the way down to the northeast, and that is Maiduguri. Maiduguri, if you've been to Maiduguri, you know that Maiduguri is usually very hot all the time. And but the weather conditions today seems to be, I think, dangling between. You see that it's boasting of 25 degrees Celsius, and it's partly cloudy with a high of 32 degrees and a low of 24 degrees Celsius. Sunny conditions are also expected around 9 this morning, which is right about now, with wind gusts up to 35 kilometers per hour. Now to the city of Jos. Jos is usually a very cold region, and yes, you can see that it's boasting of 19 degrees Celsius, which is mostly cloudy with a high of 25 degrees and a low of 18 degrees Celsius, while rainy conditions are expected around 1600 hours. Wind gusts are up to 26 kilometers per hour. That's in the city of Jos. Alright, still in the northern area, we have Kaduna. Kaduna is boasting of 22 degrees Celsius. Cloudy conditions with a high of 28 degrees and a low of 21 degrees Celsius. Partly cloudy conditions are expected around 1600 hours, with wind gusts up to 28 kilometers per hour. Still in the north, we have Kano. Kano is boasting of 24 degrees Celsius, which is mostly cloudy with a high of 32 degrees and a low of 23 degrees Celsius, while partly cloudy conditions are expected around 1200 hours, with wind gusts up to 36 kilometers per hour. Alright, that's in the city. I think I'm done with the northern part of the country, but I'll come back here in Abuja to give you what the weather says. But before then, let's go all the way to the south. And in the southeast, in the city of Imo, we have 23 degrees Celsius in the city of Imo. Well, it's drizzling actually with a high of 28 degrees Celsius and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. Rainy conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 9 kilometers per hour. So I'm sure those residents in Imo wouldn't want to even go anywhere today. I know that feeling, but for those of them that have to be at work, they must be at work. Alright, still in the southeast, we have Enugu. Enugu State is boasting of 22 degrees Celsius. Cloudy conditions is actually underway, and a high of 27 degrees and low of 22 degrees Celsius. Rainy conditions are expected around 1700 hours, with wind gusts up to 17 kilometers per hour. Now a bit to the south, the city of Port Harcourt is boasting of 23 degrees Celsius. Is drizzling at the moment with a high of 27 degrees and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. And the rainy conditions will continue all day. Wind gusts are up to 8 kilometers per hour. Alright, still in the south, we have Benin City. Benin is boasting of 23 degrees Celsius. It's raining at the moment with a high of 27 degrees and a low of 22 degrees Celsius. Rainy conditions will continue all day as well. Wind gusts are up to 10 kilometers per hour. Alright, now let's go to the city of Lagos. This is in the southwest. We have 24 degrees Celsius in Lagos, and it's actually currently raining. It has a high of 27 degrees Celsius and a low of 24 degrees Celsius. Now, cloudy conditions are expected around 1600 hours with wind gusts up to 20 km per hour. That is in the city of Lagos. And with that, it brings us back home here in the city of Abuja, the nation's capital. Well, here, I'm sure yesterday we experienced quite a bit of rain, and I will not be surprised if that continues today. So in Abuja, we have a 21 degrees Celsius. It's cloudy. We have a high of 27 degrees Celsius and a low of 21 degrees Celsius. Rainy conditions are expected around 8 this morning. So it's possible some parts of Abuja is already raining or has already rained. Wind gusts are up to 18 km per hour. And with that, we come to the end of weather updates this morning. So basically, if you're going out today, wherever you're watching from, whether from the southeast, the southwest, north central, northeast, just go out with an umbrella to be safe. Yes, we are at the peak of the rainy season, as we can see all around the country. With that, we'll move over to what the papers have for us today. We'll be moving over to see the top headline stories trending this Wednesday morning as we continue on the program. So I'm going to start with the Daily Trust. Let's start with the Daily Trust. The Daily Trust newspaper, we have the biggest headline there saying, questions over Tinubu's 2027 campaign posters. That's in the Daily Trust newspaper. You're going to see that right on the screen. We have other stories there saying federal government pegs admission age into tertiary institutions at 16. Yes, there's been debate as to how old the age, but I guess they've decided on 16. Nigerians to get 3-month single entry US visa under new policy. All right, another story says we've no preferred presidential aspirant. David Mark, that's the new chairman, the new interim chairman of the coalition, the new coalition party ADC. FCT primary school teachers suspend 3-month strike. 90% of bandits in Katsina indigents, Governor Rada says. All right, we also have student accused of setting boyfriend ablaze. Okay, we equally have federal government hints at electricity tariff hike. If I'm going to go back to this, the governor of Katsina State saying that 90% of the bandits that terrorize Katsina State are actually indigents. They're not like strangers or outsiders that joined the state, but they're actually indigents, and that is why he's saying that the state policing that everyone has been clamoring for is going to be a good idea, because it's going to provide the platform for those who become part of the state policing to actually know who these people are, what family they belong to, for proper prosecution. With that said, let's go to the next newspaper headline, and we'll be looking at the Daily Independent newspaper. The Daily Independent newspaper, we have the biggest one saying, doubling Nigeria's milk production in 5 years, unrealistic, experts. All right, that's the biggest headline you're going to see there. All right, other one says, JAM announces 150 cutoff mark for varsity's admission. If you want to read further, you find that on page 7. Why we adopted ADC instead of forming a new party by Babashir Lawal is also on page 7 of the Daily Independent newspaper. Senate pledges not to joke with concurrence bill from reps. Now, to pass more tighter disciplinary rules after Natasha incident, you find a story on page 6. Ignore noise makers. We're not planning to expel Obi, says Labour Party. Page 6. Although the other part of the faction of Abure says that Obi is no longer part of them. ADC has no preferred presidential aspirant, says David Mark. The writer says APC mocks ADC over allegation of intimidation against coalition. All right, now let me give you a bit of a hint there. It says the interim national chairman of the African Democratic Congress, ADC, Senator David Mark, has assured Nigerians that the party has no preferred presidential aspirant. Now, this is even as he said that under his leadership, ADC will be absolutely transparent. Now, Mark, who stated this while addressing the stakeholders of the Kogi State chapter of the ADC at a meeting in Abuja, noted that all the members of the, I believe you're going to read further if you want to know further on that story. Now, still on the Daily Independent, U.S. reduces non-immigrant visa for Nigerians to single entry 3-month validity. We're wondering how this is going to affect us as Nigerians. Senate begins probe of NNDPRA CEO as lawyers protest enters day 2. All right, yes, this has been on the news for some days now. So let's see how that fares. Away from the Daily Independent, let's look at the Daily Times. The Daily Times newspaper. 49 million euro fraud. EFCC arraigns 2 firms in Lagos. Reps allay fear of fuel pump price increase. That story on page 4. Federal government pegs university admission at the age of 16. Apochi Duan, Senate mulls tougher sanction against errand members. No distraction. Tinubu's reform agenda on course. Minister. FCT teachers suspend strike, return to classroom. All right, and then the big headline which you're going to find on page 8 says, ADC will not hand over party to Atiku, Obi, Amechi, Lukman. That's Lukman there saying it. Away from the Daily Times, let's look at the metrics. Again, Dangote refinery reduces fuel costs. Ex-depot price now 820 naira per liter. I think just exactly 1 week ago, yes, he reduced he reduced it down to, or rather, I think 40 naira. Yes, 40 naira was actually expelled from the price, and now another reduction, which is bringing the price to 820 naira per liter. Now, Dangote hails Tinubu for visionary leadership, far-sightedness that turned floodplain into economic powerhouse. If you want to continue on that story, read it on page 3 of the metrics. UTME, federal government pegs eligible age at 16. JAM sets 150 as cutoff mark. 2025 UTME result to carry each candidate's rank among peers. All right, that's so on that story with the UTME, the age pegging, and of course the cutoff mark is actually on every newspaper. Labour Party crisis. Nenadi Usman faction dispels Abore's group threat to expel Obi. Another story here says, court to rule on Yahaya Bello's request to travel abroad for medical checkup July 19th. July 17, I beg your pardon. You find that story on page 3. IPOP denies Umahi's claim of negotiations for Kanu's release. Page 2 is where you find that. All right, and the big story here says, concurrence bells rumble in National Assembly. The writer says, Senate douses tension, says he would never joke with concurrence bill from reps. Vows to continue working together in interest of Nigeria and Nigerians. All right, we're going to see other stories down below the metrics. We have an entertainment and of course sport, but before then, Tinubu pledges transparency, accountability in public finances. Chubaba launches new era with fresh management team. All right, and we also have on the sport, we have João Pedro scores 2 stunners to send Chelsea into Club World Cup final. You'll find that on page 2 for all the sport enthusiasts. I'm sure that's an exciting news. All right, let's move away from the metrics and move into the Daily Monitor. The Daily Monitor newspaper. I'm going to start with the top headline there that says, insecurity, why Nigeria is standing strong, NSA. All right, it says, other stories here says, 2027, ADC has no preferred presidential aspirant, mark. Federal government fixes tertiary institutions admission age at 16. Dangote refinery reduces fuel price again. Export price now 820 naira per litre. FCT teachers end 4-month strike after 16 billion naira wage relief resume today. Okay, and the big headline here you're going to see is planned expulsion again. Abure, Usman, Labour Party factions clash over Obi. The writer says ex-Anambra governor has committed anti-party activities, no longer has a place in Labour Party, Abure faction. Another writer says claims to expel Obi, handiwork of political imposters acting on behalf of shadowy interests, Usman group. And we have Tinubu not distracted by noise of opposition coalition, federal government. All right, and then the photo you're going to see there will be the incident, or rather the turnout of the massive rainfall in Port Harcourt yesterday. Wow, that's quite some flood water there. All right, so that's that. Let's go to the Guardian newspaper. The Guardian newspaper, I'm going to start with the first story there that says Labour Party factions differ on threat to expel Obi. Federal government issues 3.5 million passport, saves 1 billion naira from reform, says minister. And this says 40% of Nigerian children malnourished, Shatima laments. Autonomy, varsity fume as federal government fixes 150 cutoff mark, 16 years admission age. All right, and other stories here says ADC rules out preferential treatment, bars presidential aspirant from public declaration. Another story says U.S. holds multiple entry visa for Nigerians, reduces validity to 3 months. I think before it was 5 years, but now down to 3 months. Oshun Huluwa stages protest, demands suspension of council funds. NAFDAC uncovers expired chemicals, additives worth 1 billion naira, arrest free in Lagos. And the last story here says reps seek to increase seats to 552, allocate 10% to women. All right, that's on the Guardian newspaper. The next one we're looking at is First News, the First News newspaper. And the biggest, the top headline here says, haters of progress want Tinubu out. Onanuga cries out. Okay, we have federal government sets 16 as minimum admission age into tertiary institutions. Okay, that story, like I told you, is on our newspaper. Kingdom of Islam's weakest emperor mentality, says Abuja is crumbling. We also have the visa shake-up by the U.S. We also have ADC assembles 97 lawyers to battle APC-backed suits. Governor, 90% of bandits in Katsina live among us. And the writer says, we know their fathers and grandfathers. All right, we're going to see left to die, suspected thief scalded with hot oil dumped near Lagos police station. No strike in varsities, ASU still in talks, federal government assures. And the last one, still on the jam with a cutoff mark at 150. Let's move away from First News and go to Nigerian Tribune. The Nigerian Tribune newspaper. The first headline there is still about the U.S. issue new visa issuance policy for Nigerians. All right, so basically non-immigration and non-diplomatic visas now single entry of 3-month validity. Olubadan, CC2 president says Ladoja Hill fit as 21-day mourning period for Olakunleyin begins. You find out the rest of the story on page 16 of the Nigerian Tribune. 2027 ADC has no preferred presidential aspirant, mark. And the writer says party assembles 97 lawyers to challenge fake suit against interim leadership. Another writer says 2 Ondo ex-governorship candidate Jegede Ajayi others join coalition. All right, we also have the same story of Dangote reducing the petrol price. We have We also have the same story of JAM setting 150 as cutoff mark for universities. CBN ends loan waivers, orders bank to submit capital plans July 14. EFCC quizzes suspect as custom intercepts undeclared foreign currencies worth 653.9 million naira at Kano Airport. Recovered fund from corruption cases channeled into NEL Fund, Consumer Credit Scheme, others, EFCC. All right, so they're saying that the recovered fund from corruption cases has been channeled into NEL Fund. All right, let's move away from the Nigerian Tribune and go to the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper this morning, the first story says Natasha postpones Senate return as National Assembly awaits apology. Yes, yesterday was actually supposed to be quite a lot of people look forward to it as to what is going to turn out to be the event, with Natasha saying that she's returning to the Senate on Tuesday, which was yesterday, but sadly she was nowhere to be found, and there's not been really much explanation as to why she didn't show. A lot of people are saying maybe she got a call not to come until, because even after the court ruling, she was actually, there are other appendages to the ruling, which is she is to publicize an apology on 2 dailies and of course on her social media, all right, with a fine of 5 million. I'm not sure, from the look of thing, or so far there's not been any public apology on any dailies by her or her social media account. I don't know if that is what actually molded her returning to the Senate yesterday as she promised. But let's look at how the matter unfolds. All right, to another story now. Presidency blasts Obi as Ohanaeze demands Kanu's release. You find our page on page 18. The story rather. 2025 admission, JAM says 150 benchmark, bars under 16. All right, we have U.S. cuts Nigerians' visa validity to 3 months. And the big story on the Punch says, Mark cautions Atiku Obi as federal government slams coalition chiefs. The writer says, presidency, Mark clash over Tinubu's reform. Another says, APC, PDP chieftains join ADC in Borno, Gombe, Ondo, Jigawa. All right, we also have other stories here. It says, Customs, EFCC set up airport surveillance against money laundering. 3 school children, Okada rider crushed to death in Oyo. That's a very sad one. Adeola will run for Ogun governor in 2027. Aid confirms. And the picture you're going to see on the front paper of the Punch newspaper will be that of some suspected illegal Chinese that have been arrested alongside 4 Nigerians by operatives of the Kaduna Zonal Directorate of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. They've been displayed there regarding illegal mining, actually. So yes, those are the photos you're seeing there on the Punch newspaper. I beg your pardon. All right, with that, let's go to another story here. We'll look at the Vanguard newspaper. Federal government battles IMF over report on inflation, poverty. The writer says, worries that such statements can turn the people against government. Notes Body's advisory messages often in conflict with its lending stance. And the picture you're going to see there on the Vanguard will be the briefing on the NDTC at 25. You're going to see the managing director, Dr. Samuel Obuku, and of course some of his aides, like we also have the NDTC chairman, Mr. Chidi Ibiye, and other persons there. Those are the photos you're seeing with the briefing that happened in Delta State. We have 2027, ADC will collapse in 6 months, presidency. And the writer says, mass defection hits PDP, other political parties in Borno. 97 lawyers to defend ADC, Mark Arebashola. All right, we also have the same stories of the federal government pegging the age of admittance into university at 16 and the cutoff mark at 150. FCT administration, Ireti Kingibe, Wike locked in verbal war. And now we have the same story that has been on all newspaper. U.S. tightening visa rules for Nigerians, limits validity to 3 months on single entry. With that, we go to the next newspaper, which is the Nigerian News Direct. The Nigerian News Direct says Nigerians now restricted to single entry, 3-month visa by new U.S. policy. Thousands benefit as NNPC and Shell hold 4th edition of Vision First initiative. You find our story on page 8 of the Nigerian News Direct. 2025 and 2026 mixed reactions greet 150 cutoff mark as federal government pegs admission age at 16. Warns varsity against admitting underage students outside caps. Parents in Lagos, Ogun divide over admission age policy. Stakeholders slam jam cutoff mark, describe it as threat to academic excellence. NAFDAC uncovers fake chemicals, expired food flavors worth over 1 billion naira in Lagos. Labour Party moves to expel Peter Obi over alleged anti-party activities. And finally, UBA to focus on MSME's growth in quarterly business series. Okay, those are the stories you find on the Nigerian News Direct. Now let's go to other newspaper now. Look at the Observer's Times. The Observer's Times. Buhari reaffirms unwavering loyalty to APC, dismisses Tinubu's rift rumors. Yes, there's been rumors that the ex-president and the present president are not in good terms, but the ex-president has come out to speak on that, saying that there is nothing happening, that he remains committed to APC. Labour Party ultimatum will make Peter Obi, he will be expelled for anti-party activities. Arabambi. ADC mocks Tinubu over Nigeria's snub in U.S. Africa trade talks. And the writer says ADC has no preferred presidential aspirant, says Mark. 2 ex-PDP Gilbert candidate Jegede Ajayi lead mass defection to ADC, and politics of grievance group urges Nigerians to shun ADC. Other stories you're going to find on the Observer Times says APC fears articles growing influence. Dele Momodu. Senate denies snubbing reps bill, says no garbage in, garbage out. U.S. limit Nigerians. I've taken enough of the story, so let me go to another one. Okay, this one is also repeated. Now 7 lawyers line up to defend ADC. All right, and the photo you're going to see there will be by the Honorable Minister of Defense for State, Dr. Bello Matawale, and the Chief of Army Staff, Christopher Musa, during a commissioning of the first fleet of compressed natural gas CNG vehicles for the armed forces of Nigeria at the Mogadishu cantonment here in Abuja. That's the picture you're looking at on the Observer's Times. Okay, let's go to the Daily Sun. The Daily Sun newspaper, the first story you're going to see is the U.S. announcing the revised visa policy. Also have 16 years pegged yes for tertiary school admission. We have ADC mocks Tinubu over exclusion from U.S. trade talks. Claims situation depicts depth of economic failures. You still have the same photo of the NDDC Managing Director, Dr. Samuel Buku, there on the Daily Sun. Federal government issues over 3.5 million passports, saves 1 billion naira from reforms. The writer says NCC to charge 10 million naira for bulk SMS license. Insecurity, Igbo in diaspora reject Ruga in Southeast. Okay, we have concurrence. Senate replies rep says bills must undergo thorough investigation. We have constitution review. Reps committed to special seats for women. PWDs. All right, these are stories from the Daily Sun newspaper. All right, the last paper I have here before we go into some entertainment and sport will be The Guide. The Guide newspaper, and the top story says core members of Akwa Ibom origin nationwide to benefit from Governor Eno's 20,000 naira monthly allowance. Okay, I'm sure the core members will be Those from Akwa Ibom State will be elated by this news. All right, we also have Governor Eno to sack Stephen in Tukebo, APC-led ESCO in December. SUV, 10 million hour connection. Another story says, don't trespass. Don't trespass on our land. Ibibios warn Obolos on state creation as Obolos lament marginalization in Akwa Ibom. And the last story says, rising tension among Akwa Ibom civil servants as June salary delay enters second week. Okay, I'm looking at my time and I see that I do not have much, so I'll just quickly take one sports story and then that will be that. One sports story, it says, the Metric Sports says, João Pedro scores 2 stunners to send Chelsea into Club World Cup final, and Spanish police reveal cause of Diogo Jota's death. Finally, I will be disappointed if Osimhen goes to Galatasaray instead of Man United Ferdinand. All right, with that, we're going to quickly take a breather. When we return, hopefully my guest should be joining me other moments, and also you will get to be part of it, where we get to talk more deeply on some of the newspaper headlines making the wave this morning. Stay with us. All right, welcome back to the press. Well, if you're just joining, you missed quite a lot because we've taken all the newspaper top headlines trending today, which is Wednesday. My guest was supposed to be in the studio with me right about now, but I think we experienced quite some difficulty having him here. Hopefully he gets to join us in the middle of the show before the show comes to a halt. Well, but because my guest is not here, we're opening the phone lines early so that you who has been listening and watching can also be part of the conversation. Feel free to touch on any of our headline topics I've taken this morning. Feel free to say something about it. We've taken quite a lot, but the recurrent ones will be that of the article, or be the ADC story. We have the JAM, the UTME JAM cutoff mark. We have that. We also have Natasha's story, the Senate, so many stories actually. The 2027 ADC has no preferred presidential aspirant. That talk is also another one. So the phone lines will be displayed on the screen right about now so that you can call and be part of the conversation. If our guest joins us in the middle of the conversation, that will be wonderful. We'll get to talk with our guests as we continue on the show, so you feel free to call right now. Now, while I await your call, I would like to look at the 2025-2026 UTME pegging the age at 16 and JAM fixing cutoff mark at 150. When I saw it initially, I was like, what's going on here? I felt 150. I know that, I don't know if things have changed, but when I wrote my own JAM, 4 subjects is what you're supposed to write, and for each 4 subjects the total score is 100, which means if you pass the entire 4, you'll be getting 400, and that is why we term those who get 300 plus as they did very well. In fact, there's actually a 375, if I'm not mistaken, a student got it in the last JAM examination. I think it's from Anambra State. He was said to be the highest scorer for this year. So that's kudos. Now, looking at the cutoff mark for 150, where does that leave us? Because if you look at it, it means that give and take, we're having, let me do the calculation in my head, we're having less than 25. We're having less than 25, like 25 over 100, or maybe a little higher than 25 if you're going to check it. So the question is 25 a pass mark? Is 25 a pass mark? I feel that the number has really been brought down, and I feel it's going to tamper with a lot of things. A lot of students will no longer be serious to read and study so hard for their course, for the exams, with a cutoff mark at 150. I think for me personally, it's not a good one. I don't know what the reasons were for setting it at 150. Initially, it was 180. All right, and then for certain courses, slight increase depending on the course that you're applying for. But for 150 as a cutoff mark, I think is really way below cutoff pass mark, if you ask me. And I think we need to hear from the JAM as to why 150 is set as a new cutoff mark, because it's really below pass mark. I think something should be done about that, really. And then for the age 16, I don't know if you have any issue with that, if the age 16 to get into the university is okay for you. I think at first it was pegged at 18 years last year or so, and a lot of people were no, that some students finish early, some are very brilliant, you know, there's so many talks about that. So eventually I guess they arrive at the age of 16 to get into the university. So if you're not up to 16, no university for you. Okay. All right, another story that you find on all these newspaper headlines will be the U.S. cutting Nigerians' visa validity to 3 months. You'll be asking what happened. Remember that the president said something about increase in tariff for any country who is involved in the BRICS arrangement, and apparently Nigerians were among them, and so we were slammed with the increase in tariff along with the visa validity for 3 months. So it means that for non-immigrants, and if you're not a diplomat, you get into the university, one entry, and it lasts for only 3 months. What does this portend? I wish my guest was here to answer that question. Okay, let's move away from there. Let me bring you a bit of a political story. That will be the 2027 ADC, with what the ADC's interim chairman said, that no, they don't have a preferred candidate as an aspirant. All right, let me take this call, and then when we return, we'll continue that conversation. Hello, good morning. Okay, the call dropped. Call me back if you would. Now, if you were to be in ADC shoe, because I feel that they are quite making a movement. It sounded like a joke, but it seems there seems to be gaining momentum. You hear some persons from the APC in Borno and some other northern part of the country joining the ADC coalition, and we also have part of it in the south joining the coalition. But the question still remains, who will be the presidential aspirant of ADC? Because that is what matters the most. They have to bring someone who is viable, someone who Nigerians will embrace if they really want to defeat the All Progressive. Hello, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ma. You are on to SMB calling from Lagos.
Can you say that name again?
SMB calling from Lagos.
SMB.
Yes, Ma. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Let me quickly appreciate Captain TV for giving us this ample opportunity. So many headlines resonate with me, but let me just pick one or two. First of all, let me appreciate the age of a university entrance. That 16 years is quite appreciable, and then also you will agree with me, we have so many talented young men and women, you know, that they can even do undo. So giving them this opportunity today in the university is a very good idea. But where I am having issue is the cut of marks. Seriously, this will at least maybe discourage some students to see, okay, even if I cannot make it to the high level, I can do this. Look, sometimes back I made mention that there is need for our educationists or the managers of the national affairs to re-examine our educational system.
Yeah.
We have so many challenges, starting from the facilities, starting from the way and manners we handle the educational aspect, and so on and so forth. So this age issue is another thing. Also, the cut of mark is another thing. But so many things attached to the mess that we are experiencing in our educational system. Believe in me, we still have miracle centers in our private schools, in our primary schools, in our secondary schools during the WAEC, JAM, and so on and so forth. You agree with me? We still have miracle centers where students acquire results that they cannot defend. So we need to re-examine our educational system. We have all what it takes, believe in me. So I don't know, sometimes I ask myself, what is wrong with our system? Are we for real? So honestly, the education is the backbone of development in each and every society. So a failure to do this, definitely we are not producing anything good to our nation. So I hope and pray the educationists, the managers of the affairs of the nation will do the needful. Then secondly, the headline at the Daily Trust, that cautioned the President Tinubu's posters, campaign, and so on and so forth. You will agree with me. The ruling party already launched its campaign since on 18 December 2024. You ask me, why did I say so? Now, there is joint session during the presentation of 2025 budget at the National Assembly. What happened? The governors are there, the Senate are there. You understand me? The National Assembly members are there, and some other party members, they were there. What happened? On your mandate, we shall stand. Is it not a campaign? On your mandate, we stand. The legislative, the lawmakers. That's number one. Secondly, the endorsement by Mr. By the ATC stakeholders to Mr. President, and also the vote of confidence to the national chairman, the former national chairman. Is it not a campaign? It's a campaign. Now look at what happened in the Northeast. Is it not a campaign? It's a campaign. So why are we rolling faster than our shadow? The more we begin to respect our institutions, the better for this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, SMB. Thank you. Appreciate your contribution to the program. Yes, he raised something about the 150 cut-off mark, like I made mention earlier. I think is really, really not good, because it's going to make our students become even more lazy. In fact, I saw a video some days ago of a lady who is already in the university, I think year 2, and she was asked what the word JAM stands for, and she couldn't say what it stood for. She couldn't say what the acronym JAM stood for. Meanwhile, she wrote the exam to get into the university. So you ask yourself, what would the educational system look like? Already we're grappling with not getting what we need as in schools, primary, in secondary, tertiary, poor. So many things are already happening. Education is dwindling, and then we're having cut-off mark. What is, I don't know, is really not a good development at all. Let me take another caller. Hello, good afternoon, rather. Good morning. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, so my name is Reverend Samuel.
Reverend Samuel, you're welcome.
Yeah, I want to
where are you calling us from?
That issue of the
Reverend Samuel, where are you calling from?
Okay, I'm calling from Port Harcourt.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah. So I want to talk in regard to the ADC issue.
Yes.
So in regard to that issue, I think my one suggestion should be P2B should try to see how he can follow Atiku to have a strong political structure, because in this issue, Atiku has a greater structure more than him. So if he can calm down a little bit to do vice with Atiku, I think they will win the APC-led administration, because already the APC has its own lapses, and the ADC have already come out with their own structure that can beat the APC. So I think they should look into it and talk with P2B, and P2B can talk to his other supporters to let them know that, okay, see, this is my plan. Let me talk with this party that I will do that. Once Atiku is done with his 8 years, then I will take over to be the next person in line. I think that will bring peace in the ADC party.
Okay.
But if they don't do that, they will keep having conflict, and that is where the problem will keep going without resolving. Thank you.
Thank you to Reverend Samuel from Port Harcourt. Thank you for your contribution. Okay, so we're still taking the calls as they come in. But then again, from what Reverend Samuel said, from what he said, I don't know how that is possible, because I do know that Atiku wants to be president, P2B wants to be president. Let's go on a quick break. We'll be right back. Do stay with us. All right, so welcome back from that break, and I'm very glad to have you back, because I'm now being joined by my guests in the studio. And guess what? Good news, we'll be extending the time to another 13 minutes because of the hitches we had earlier. So you and I, my guests, and you, we're here till 11. this morning. So with that, let me quickly introduce my guest this morning. So I have in the studio Ambassador Ademare Emmanuel. He is the Director General Coalition of Nigerian Youths on Security and Safety Affairs, known as CONISA. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
How are you doing?
I'm doing wonderfully.
I'm glad you finally joined us on the show.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
Here has always been a home.
Okay, that's beautiful. All right, so with that, I told you I have so many questions I wish he was here to answer, and finally he's here. So I'm going to take a bit of a pause. We're taking some calls. Let's hit him up with some questions, and then we're going to come back to taking calls as we proceed on the show. So I don't even know where to begin, but there were so many repeated stories on the papers this morning, and I would like you to seeing that you are a Director General Coalition Nigerian Youth. I think you'll be speaking for every Nigerian youth as we go. So I'm going to start off with let's start off with the political scene. What's happening there? We have the opposition coalition ADC gaining momentum by the day, although there's been some bashing from the ruling or progressive. Sometimes I ask myself, should that be the way governance should be done? Should they be all bashing all the time? Why don't they embrace them and maybe buckle down rather, as to ensure that, to find a way to make sure that, okay, we have to stand on our feet so that these people don't take over instead of bashing them all the time with words. What are your take on that?
Well, the truth is this, that with the current happening politically in the country,
yes,
the coming on board of ADC is a wake-up call for APC to perform more.
Exactly.
That is one. Because they know that the ADC will be looking for loopholes. But in same vein, we must also ask ourselves, how far has this administration been able to perform in terms of new policies that are coming on board? How far have they been really executed, implemented? Then, of what impact are these policies to the citizenry, whom these policies are meant to benefit? So now, for the ADC coming on board at this point in time, for me, is an advantage for APC to win 2027 election. How? Is that they'll be coming out with issues, the lapses in the government, and for the smartness of the person of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he always loved being informed, and when he is informed, he yield, take it up, a kind of correct the heels and get a result that will benefit the citizens in person. Now again, the ADC is a coming together of both snake, scorpion, tiger, lion, different types of animals with different ideology and with different missions. Everybody is coming for a purpose. Now, know that everybody is coming together for a purpose. There are two different things. So, if the ADC were actually coming on board for a common goal without different ambitions within themselves, it could have been a better ground to engage the current administration. But be it as it may, the ADC, the person of P2B is there navigating way to see how he get the ticket. Amechi is navigating his way to get the ticket. Again, Atiku himself is there trying to see how he can navigate the ticket. Now, outside these persons, we must also look at another area again, that these people coming together is in the sole aim of a kind of taking over power in 2027. Now, in this sole aim, how many of them will, after primary, remain in ADC?
That's true.
So, when their intentions are not achieved, they automatically shift ground. Now, again, if you look at the leadership structure, the party chairman is an old man. The secretary is an old man. Where is the place of the young people within the cycle of this coalition? That is a kind of a failed attempt preceding the primary election and preceding the effectivity of the purpose and mandate that is bringing the coalition together.
All right, interesting terminology you have there. Now, coming back to, I believe when it comes to governance, what keeps them on their toes is opposition party, and if we can have a very strong one, it's going to make whatever governance, whoever that is in power, to always sit up and do what they're supposed to do, because in the absence of doing what you're supposed to do, then you stand a chance of being knocked off. What would you say to what the interim chairman, Mark, is saying that the party, ADC, have no preferred candidate? If you're to advise them as a political party who want to stand a chance to knock off the Progressive Congress, what would you advise them? Who would you advise them to pick as the preferred candidate that Nigerians will embrace?
The truth is that for the now, at the level of ADC, not just one, not just two, that is vying for the position. And for Amaechi, he has the criteria, he has the exposure, he has the leadership acumen. He has been able to, in the time past, display leadership in fullness. Peter Obi too have tried to some extent. Atiku on his own, severally he has made attempts to a kind of pick up ticket. He has even picked ticket at a point in time and still lost out the election. But this I will say that at the level of ADC, among these three persons, whosoever they picked, they are good candidates.
Okay.
But the truth is this, that we must begin to look at what are we bringing to the table for the people. Not until you emerge as president. Why a lot of persons fail in leadership is because they are not prepared. They don't have a blueprint. They don't know what to do, how to do, and where to do. All they know is that there are challenges. Yes, accepted. These challenges are emancipated from local communities in terms of bad roads, bad infrastructures, no water, no health, no electricity, no good schools. So these are challenges. Now the question is, what do you have that is different from what those who are in government now has? Come and tell us, tell Nigerians that this is what I want to do different. This is how I want to do it.
Exactly.
So let people begin to see from practical. Now, before then, go to local community, test run. Look at a local government. How you intend to transform Nigeria in 4 years' time. Pick a local government and practicalize it. Start from a community in that local government. From that community, then extend your tentacle to other communities. What you intended to do, if you cannot do it in another local, do it in your local government. Let us see the practical from your home.
Exactly, as a
not that you are telling us that you are going to transform the country overnight. No, that is not what we want. Come and tell us what you've been able to do so far in your community. How many young people have you been able to pay way for? What is the total numbers of graduates in your community? Have you been able to get an expertise, not a researcher, to take data and statistics of graduates in your community, what they studied, their field of expertise, and where you think they can be fixed in the next 1 year, and what result they are going to bring to the table? So these are templates that you now bring to the table, that this is the same thing you want to build upon to transform the country. So if we are still having about 80% of young people as unemployed in your community and in your local government, you are coming to tell us you are coming to transform Nigeria. No, you are coming for your personal selfish interest. Now, the person of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, this ambition has been there for years. He has been grooming one or two persons time to time. He has been looking for expertise here and there. What field is Dele good at? What field is Mohammed good at? What field is Atiku good at? If I emerge as president, this is where I will fix this person, this where I will fix this person. So these are issues that must be properly looked into and properly dealt with by individual candidate before coming out to tell us you want to contest for 2027 presidential election. But be it as it may, we also bring this to the table, that the current ADC that we have, if you look at the whole candidate, those that are actually coming on board, most of them are aggrieved individuals.
Yes, they are.
They are aggrieved individuals, not because they actually really want to come and work, but because they felt that Tinubu is not doing things the way, in their own way, or the way they feel it should be done. But he is doing it from another dimension. But on that ground is where we are saying that if you are coming to the table, if you are coming to talk to Nigerians, come to the table with idea. Come to the table with what is resultful, either short time or long time, that will not just benefit yourself alone to a kind of emancipate wealth for your personal gain, but for the interest of the country at large. In same way, let us also go back to the track record of these people in question. What can their people tell about them? What can their people say about them? I will use the governor of Ondo State as an example.
Okay.
Now, he was deputy governor, and he did well with his principal. Even when he was serving the principal, he was bringing idea to the table of his principal. When he came on board as governor, there was nothing strange to him about being a governor.
Yes.
And that is why you see Ondo State kept moving on daily basis to the front line and competing with those that were ahead of them before now. So he was prepared for leadership. So he knew what the problems are. He knew what the solutions are. He knows the ones that have to be treated now, and he knows the ones that are long term. So whatsoever he's doing it based on well-informed ideology. And that some persons might felt he's slow, but the fact is that he's looking into economy, he's looking into agriculture, he's looking into health, he's looking into good roads in local communities, because he understands the problem, because he was prepared for leadership. He has tested some of this from his local government and within the circle of his friends. This is a governor that among his colleagues, he has been able to impact in their lives, and none of them will become a problem to him coming to tell him, Mr. Governor, I need contract. They are all well to do within their cycles. So if you are not well prepared, you cannot perform effectively because of the type and kind of cycle you are having. So the people around P2B, who are they? How successful are they? Will now determine the kind of government is going to bring on board. The people around Atiku, who are they? How successful are they? Will determine the kind of leadership, because most of them has been off government for years. Coming on board, the first thing is how to gain those things that you not get in the last 10 years ago. So how they can really be able to a kind of emancipate wealth and destabilize. So, but the coming on board of ADC at the moment is a good one, like I said, but in the aspect of putting the government of the day on their toes, and which I know President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is also going to take advantage of that, to be informed of the complaints of the citizenry.
All right, politics, one has to be very smart. All right, this is a press too, and if you're just joining us, we are basically reviewing some of the newspaper headline, and I have Ambassador Ademare Emmanuel in the studio, and you've been hearing him talk. Okay, I still have quite other stories that I would like us to look at. I would like us to look at, we still have quite a lot. Let me see. Maybe we just run through them. Let's look at the U.S. cutting Nigerians' visa validity to 3 months, and of course with a single entry. What do you have to say? You know, this is like a punishment for Nigerians being part of the BRICS arrangement. What do you have to say about that? What are the challenges do you think it portends for Nigeria with this?
It has been in the time past that the U.S. has always seen Nigeria as second citizens, and it is painful that Nigerians always pass through this pain and challenges in the hands of these people. And for me as a person, it's a call to order that it is high time Nigeria as a country stand on her feet and redefine her fate. We are giant of Africa. We have all it takes in terms of knowledge, in terms of mineral resources, in terms of manpower, in terms of strategy to compete and contend with US. But our problem is the will to do. The will to do. If Nigeria judiciously harness what it has as a country in terms of mineral resources, should we talk about our golds? Should we talk about our crude oil? Should we talk about what will I say? Should we talk about cocoa that God has blessed us with? There is nothing we plant here in Nigeria that does not yield. There is nothing. Then when you now come to technology, give a Nigerian man an opportunity among 20 white men. In the next 6 calendar month, the Nigerian man will outshine all of them. God has blessed us to that extent. What are we looking for? Our expertise are all running to US.
Exactly.
Now they are now seeing us as slaves, as people without alternative. So there will always a kind of condition us to that point whereby we feel being second-class citizen, that whatsoever they bring to table to us, we must take it. And who are those causing this problem to us? That our political leaders who are stealing our money, our wealth, our God-given opportunities and privileges to them. And what are they surviving on? They are surviving on our looted monies. That is the truth. So, for me, it is a blessing in disguise. And I want to believe that our leaders will be waking up on this, that why this again. And I also want to say that from the one that the Chief of Defense Staff came out to say that there is a foreign hands in insecurity in Nigeria, from that day all these things begin to come on board. So for some of us who are in the field of security, whatsoever the US is doing, we are also reading meanings to it. From the day the Chief of Defense Staff spoke, we begin to see different handwriting. A kind of that international relation between Nigeria and US and some other foreign countries who are a kind of being that Nigerians and citizens are being suspicious of, begin to raise some red flags. And on this note, I want to say that Nigerians are getting wiser on a daily basis. Nigeria are getting more informed on how foreigners comes in the name of foreign aids, manipulate our people, give them some peanuts, scatter away a lot of our resources and also use it at the end of the day against us. Nigerians are waking up to that. But for me, I have seek an audience when I got that information this morning. I've seek an audience with the Honorable Minister of Interior, and I'll be putting up an official letter to Minister of Foreign Affairs for an audience, so that we'll really be able to look at what are the challenges. Why is US treating Nigerians this way? The rich can always find their way.
Exactly.
What about the middle class? How are they going to survive it? Looking at which amount of money citizens pushed into this. And if you look at on daily basis what Nigerian push to US, you will wonder what are they looking for. But yet it is good to explore opportunities, business and others, but not at the detriment of seeing Nigerians as second-class citizens. I watched a video of one of the TikTok, I forgot her name, one funny woman like that. They traveled to a country, and getting there, I think they went for picnic thereabout, and they were denied that Nigerians visa, that you need to get their country visa and thereabout. And at the end of the day, okay, visa on arrival, they say they cannot give you have to go back to your country and start. You know, they were detained for some hours, and getting to discover that our this thing, our international passport is a kind of either in the 7th stage, you know, whereby Ghana and other countries were even ahead of us. So all this must be properly looked at, and a quick action being taken on them to be able to ease the burden of citizens who are traveling to any country of their wish. So, but I will conclude by saying that the US have done what they know how to do best, but it is a call that Nigerian citizens and Nigerian government should wake up to their responsibility, and it cannot be the giant of Africa that they are known for.
All right. Okay, so many things to still discuss, and our phone lines have been buzzing. So what I'll do is I'll take a few phone calls, and then I'll have you talk on the UTME and the cutoff mark. Hello, good morning to you.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for joining. What's your name and where you calling us from?
My name is Ola Victor Isikon.
I heard Victor.
Yeah, Isikon.
Isikon. Okay, from where?
River State, Port Harcourt.
All right. Thanks for joining.
Yes. Yeah. I want to say, first of all, I want to appreciate your guest on the studio. He speaks very well, and I like his presentation. But let me say one or two things about APC, ADC. Because directly or indirectly, APC still has people in that same ADC. Because the people forming the ADC are the angry people that left to form this ADC. And all these people have their interest. And what are their interests? Is two interests. One, I will be the president come 2027. The other interest, I will be the national leader of that ADC. Which directly or indirectly, more than 5 of them are dragging those positions. And 2 people are trying to be so open at the moment now, being the Atiku and Obi. And if Atiku is to say, okay, let me come to be a president, and Obi say, I want to be a president, or Atiku Obi should come and be his running mate, which directly or indirectly, as a plan from 2023, it was to be a turn of south. So we can expect the North completing their 8 years, and you from the North, you still come. Because you know that you cannot gain the actual majority vote that you are looking for, then you now look for somebody who has the strength and the people love him to be able to give that vote, so that you become a president, you become a cheating. So directly or indirectly, that ADC will not work. It will collapse. For me, I like the move, and I will support the move, because it's a good one for the Nigeria. But for the fact that they are not coming to help Nigeria. Rather, they are coming like to say, I will punish him on what they did to me. Like some people that from APC, you know, during their primary, we all know what happened in primaries, in APC primary, 2023 primaries. So, people from there, they are still with that grievance. And you come in other related party like PDP, there's another one strong man that is there in PDP, and he's telling you that I don't go anywhere. Even ADC they are going, I am there with them. Are you getting? So all what I'm trying to say there is that I think Mr. President should do the needful. You can imagine just few weeks ago, the presidency have made a lot of changes. So that is to say that the fear of ADC have become a wisdom for APC ruling government now. Meaning that, like what your guests are saying, you can see a lot of letdown in Nigeria. I must tell you without fear of favor, Nigeria is no longer the lion of Africa or the giant of Africa. There are other minor countries in Africa, they are doing well in terms of making more names, making more efforts than Nigeria. But we just use the names and deceive ourselves and kill our citizens in that dependence. Go to prisons, go to many things, no job everywhere, no light. My dear, it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Victor, for joining us on the show. Okay, he mentioned, he hinted quite on most of the things you talked about. But before we continue, I would like you to, let me take another call. Hello. Good morning to you. Hello.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. What's your name and where are you calling us from?
I'm Louis from Edo State.
Louis, you're welcome.
Okay, first my taking on this jam and the cut-off mark. The cut-off mark, to me, the cut-off mark is very, very too low. 150 is not a good area because some of the students, most persons that have spoken on it, most of the young students we are seeing now, like our children that are coming up, they are going to be lazy. They will not read. First of all, the phone have overfed everything. The phone on social media of these days, they don't read before going to class, before going to lectures. They press their phone when going in their lecture. They press their phone. So getting the 150 cents is a problem. So they're not going to be serious. And the second take of it is this example or the age of a thing, the age gap, the minimum age for entering a university. When you look at this age limit, you find that a school is like somebody getting into a marriage. The marriage of a child of 18 years, you say go and marry. At the end of the day, the child will not know how to even boil water for the baby to bathe. And you are telling a child of 16 years to get admission to the university. Getting admission to the university is like leaving the house to go and visit your auntie and you cannot wake up to go and sleep. You go to the university, you cannot even go out to social. There are many things you learn in university.
Yeah.
You don't just by going there to read book. You socialize, you meet people, you mingle with people, you meet a lot of different things. You a child of 16 years, how is it going to how is it going to cope? So these are things I think the Minister of Education should look into. I'm looking at the school calendar, the educational calendar of Nigeria. To me, it is not arranged. It is not proper arranged. Now, my own child of 1 year now. What the child I remember when I was in primary school, primary 4, primary 5. What I learned at that period is what my child in primary 1 now, at the KG2 is even learning. We are struggling of how can she put those things in her head.
Yes.
And now you are telling a child of GSS, a child is supposed to be in SS2 to be in the university. What is he going to learn there? And those days, children don't even go to school. When you send them to school, when you get to SS1, the parents drop them out to go and enroll in special centers. They start attending lectures. Some of them don't go.
That's true.
At the end of the day, you see that the JAM center is filled up with malpractice. Schools are filled up with malpractice. Now, on the other thought of it, we are saying age of 16 years. Is it for the north or for the south? Let's put those things in order. If you go to educational system in the north, you find that it's so far different from the ones in the south. So Nigeria
Nigerians, we are getting wise every day. We are understanding things every day. So those things, government should put those things into policy that will favor the whole Nigeria. And for the man sitting beside you, defending us, yes, we know Nigeria, we are growing up, and we should know that the politics of today does not involve the elders alone. We the young ones, we are noticing things, and we are praying that Nigeria should be a better place for us. Every person going to ADC now, they are from the APC. We know 90% of the persons there now today, they are from APC. Like the last week I spoke, they are all our great persons. Look at El-Rufai. Will El-Rufai support Peter Obi to become vice president? Will Atiku support? They want the power to go back to the north. That's just what they are praying for, and that's what they are working towards. Look at the number of persons that have joined the ADC. The majority of them are from north. So they want the power to come back to north, so that things will not happen to other side of the state. Thank you, and God bless you.
All right, thank you very much, Louis, for your meaningful contribution. Yeah, I love the analogy he made regarding the 16-year pagan. Yeah. Yes, the university is actually a world, a complete world of its own, and pushing children, because a 16-year-old person is still a child. In fact, even 18 years old is still a child to be pushed into the university. But some will argue that, okay, I remember when the arguments that 18 was, oh no, 18 was too, that why would they put it at 18? A lot of people were arguing that, no, they should bring it down, that there are students who finish as early as 15. And that is why we advocate, okay, if students, maybe we should have a way where if students finish maybe early, maybe they should be enrolled in some sort of skill training acquisition, you understand, before getting into the university. I think it boils down to arranging our curriculum, because we are having graduates who graduate, and you can tell that these are graduates. I was shocked when I was meant to interview some couple of persons who were requiring to be teachers in secondary school, and if I tell you what I saw, you'd be marveled. It was so bad that a graduate who is seeking to teach a primary school pupils couldn't spell a word as simple as a nurse. The word nurse that works in hospital, she couldn't spell it. And I was, what is going on? What are they teaching in school? And so it boils down to, we really need to rejig. Instead of rejigging, it's as if we are bringing our standard down with the 150 cut-off mark. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it is annoying that those that are pushing for this are those in the cycle of power who quickly want their children to spring forth and take over leadership when they are leaving.
Wow.
Now, who are this set of persons? They are persons that put their children in special schools, and their children are already finishing secondary school at the age of 14, 15.
That's true.
Most of all these children, they put them in private schools. So they just want their children to finish tertiary institution at the age of 18, 19 and quickly freeze them up. In the next 10 calendar years, they are growing up to the rank of directors already.
Wow.
So we understand the game, but this game is at the detriment of the development of the country.
It is.
It's at the detriment of the development of the country. How? One is this, that I got admission to NCE at the age of, I think I was already going to my 25 when I entered NCE.
Wow.
So, but the point is this, that I was really prepared. I can cook, I can take care of my younger ones at home, even when my parents are not around. I can manage myself, manage my younger ones. Why is courtesan increasing in tertiary institution? Because these younger ones that are coming to tertiary institution are not well prepared.
They are not.
On how to engage on defensive mechanism. They don't understand how to relate. They don't know the difference between A and B. That is their first time going out. So, and at home, their mummies begin. So, in terms of leadership, in terms of home training, most of them it is the nanny or the home house cook that normally cook. How do you expect these children to survive in school?
Exactly.
They can survive. So there is need that these our big uncles in power should understand that whatsoever decision and policy they are making, they must look at the grassroots. They must look at the futuristic consequences of decisions. At least anybody that want to enter tertiary institution from 18 above, standard.
Exactly.
Because even the United Nations Chartered for youth policy recognize 18 above.
Yes.
So why not we adopt that? That at 18 you are matured to confront issues. You are matured to tell somebody, no, I won't do this. My parent told me at home that this is wrong, and the person will have that boldness and that courage to stand by that. Then outside that again, if you look at the issue of drug abuse and all that, these children does not understand what drugs are. They don't have any experience. They only have that experience they had within the private school that they went, because most of all these children that these rich people are fighting for, they did not undergo public school.
Yes, they do.
They are all throughout in the private institution, in the private schools, and because they are in private school, the way they are being treated there is different from the way students in public schools are being treated. So the children from public schools are more of this courage, strength, boldness, and have that ability. Guy, forget this thing, no. You understand? But you see all these children in private schools, you understand? They don't understand what confrontations are. They don't know how to resist confrontation.
Yeah.
Because they were not mentored through that process. So, but looking at the cutoff mark too, how
I've actually calculated it, and it's about 37. So it means 37 over 100. So that was never a pass mark.
So I think I'm going to put up a letter to the Minister of Education. CONISA is going to pay him a courtesy visit and also discuss some of these loopholes. So they should not look at their children, but they should look at Nigeria as a country.
Exactly.
They should look at where the future of this country will be in the next 30, 40 years to come. So these are very, very important and very, very key. So, and I also want to bring this in, that the Ministry of Education should understand that all of them, directors, permanent secretary, the minister himself, and the big wings that are rich, their time are fading off. If your times are fading off, and these young ones that are coming on board does not have that charisma you have, does not have that academic standard that you have, and you want to give over office to them in years to come, you are creating a problem that will also consume you, because they would have completely destroyed your legacy, because that was never the standard that brought you on board. So why not improve on the standard that brought them up, whereby most of them underwent grade 1, grade 2, grade 3, and there was a standard.
Yes.
So what happened to that standard? Why not revive that standard? Why now degrading, a kind of bringing down, a kind of I don't know the choice of words, but the truth is that they are insulting our academic standard. That is a kind of, let us do it the way we want.
I totally understand what you're trying to say, because I remember during my father's days, they would say people who just attended and stopped at secondary school are way smarter than people who graduated from university.
That's the truth. That's the truth, because if you see some of the time, if I see these young ones, I don't go more with the compass these days, because they are young,
Yes.
and based on their ages, you know, I have to start coming close to them because they need to understand what they don't know. So, and these days we organize different kinds of program where we also invite couples to attend. We'll be having a program in Osun State on 17th of this month.
Okay.
That is Uniting the Southwest Youth Against Social Vices.
Okay.
So, and we have requested for about 100 core members to also be in attendance in that program because it's a 100 capacity seater venue, and one of those things we are looking at is the issue of drug abuse. How is the Ministry of Education handling that? Whereby today you see some of this yogurt, there are drugs inside.
Oh, really?
Some of these sweets, there are drugs inside. You see, some of these inhaler, there are drugs inside.
Wow.
People inhale them.
I even hear of confectionaries like cakes.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So, and that is why if you go and buy cakes today to eat, they'll ask you which type of cake.
Wow.
You understand? Because there are different cakes. So, and some of these children, they are not properly informed.
not.
A friend will just invite them, let us go on outing, I bought cake, drop cake. You don't know what is inside.
That's true.
In fact, it is rare I collect Coke or Fanta or any of the energy drink for anybody to, because I don't know what is contained.
Inside.
So a lot of these children that you are pushing to tertiary institution are not properly informed.
Exactly, and let's not forget about peer pressure.
So immediately come, let us go, and that will be their first time
Exactly.
to go out. They want to catch that fun to fullness, and before you know, the purpose of going to school
Is defeated.
So, and that is where even the tertiary institution must also wake up to duties and to purpose why they are there. Because some of these children, they need mentorship, they need leadership, they need to be properly groomed, they need attention, because the kind of attention they have from home is different from the attention in the school. Because the lecturer will not always be there 24 hours. Will not always have that luxury of time like the way they have at home. And even at home, most of these children will no more read again. You see them pressing their phone, you see them watching, I don't know, there's one, this thing, is it China? I know there's one.
Is it a Korean movie?
Korean movie. So, but I know there's this specific one they always watch. You understand? Even parents, you understand? They will sit their children together. They will be watching together. So all these are areas that, as the child is coming to tertiary institution at the age of 18, we know that I'm falling into another field of life in totality. So for the period of that 3 years, from 15 that the child is done with secondary school, as acclaimed by most of them, but the truth is that if you don't jump children in school, there's no way. You understand? Because most of them will always want this fast tracking of children. I want him to jump primary 1 to primary 3.
That's right.
From primary school he went. He was well, so he can compete with those in primary 3. You understand?
Yes.
So all these are challenges. But be it as it may, there is need for that home training for like 2-3 years before going to. And for this period of that 2-3 years, such a child should undergo some skills whereby, without depending on whom, the person can be able to survive. Because most of us survived to, when I was in school, when I was in NCE, I schooled in Ilemono, the hometown of the present ADC to the president. I followed them to farm. So I in fact, when I got to the school, I familiarized with the indigenes, you know, and I was able to survive and sustain without home. So I only have little more to pick from home when coming back to school. And when I also get home, I embark on programs. I was doing different programs. I go out to preach those years, you know, so little envelopes I receive. So I was not lazy. So it was because I have that leadership. It was because I took my time before going to school. So I was well prepared to go to school. So parents should understand that their children need to be well prepared before going to school. Then the Ministry of Education should also know that that cutoff mark belittle Nigerian standard in terms of that means our children are poor in terms of academics,
exactly.
And that is what picture they are pushing out to
the entire world.
Exactly. So,
all right, even with the 1 hour added, we are even actually running out of time. You've spoken quite at length and deeply on some of the topics, and we're totally out of time. But I want you to quickly highlight what the Katsina State Governor said about the bandits. He said the bandits in their community are not strangers, that they know their fathers and grandfather. So while you respond to this, I just want you to respond to it within 2 minutes and wrap up within 2 minutes.
Okay. The point is this, that when we talk about banditry for some of us who have understand the terrain of activities of insecurity, it is not something that is strange to political leaders. That is number one. Number two, sabotage within the security architecture is another thing. Then number three, what is the interest of political leaders in that state? Then lastly, within that territory where the banditry activities are happening, what is so unique within that community? So what are they fighting for? What are they killing the indigenes of that particular community for? So these are issues that a lot of people does not discuss. One is that in Katsina, some of these areas where the bandit activities are happening are areas where mining take place.
Exactly.
So who is who are people that are competing within that end. A poor person cannot go and mine. Now again, the Katsina State Governor has been trying his best, calling for reconciliation, and they know these people. They know those that are involved. Security agencies has access to these people. But what is so difficult to bring an end to it?
Exactly.
So, but for us, we've always given our advice that there are some of these bandits that for us, issue of them being pardoned, I think is seen an offense against Nigeria as a country.
It is.
So people that have killed our soldiers, killed our security agencies, and
destroy family and homes, properties.
And you just said they should be forgiven like that. So we are saying that issue of banditry activities in this country is something that can be wiped off within the twinkle of an eye, but it is beyond Nigeria as a country, because there are foreign hands involved in these activities, and that is where the Chief of Defense Staff has come out and he has made up his mind that it is a fight to the finishing. But this, I will say that insecurity in this country, there is need for state governors, for the NSA, security agencies in the country to holistically mainstream young people in the local community to defend themselves, not just with arms, but the presence of security agencies, whereby these people will be able to say, okay, let us infiltrate here, and be able to take ownership of their local communities.
Thank you very much. Ambassador Ademare Emmanuel, the Director General, Coalition of Nigerian Youth on Security and, of course, Safety Affairs Connoisseur. It's been a pleasure having this conversation with you. And to you that called, we want to say, Victor, thank you. Louis, SMB from Lagos, Reverend Samuel from Port Harcourt, Louis from Edo, and Victor from Rivers. Thank you so much. To those of you who couldn't take your call, I apologize for that. But do join us tomorrow by the same time, 9 a.m. for another edition of The Press. I am Princess Ekezie Okoli. Do enjoy the rest of your day. Bye for now.